35 years. Maughan, President General Manager of Alta Ski Area. I've been employed at Alta Ski Area for 35 years, driven that canyon in 5 days a week for that period of time and seen a lot of different circumstances and things that occurred there. I have a little handout I'll just share with you so you don't have to take notes about everything that I share with you, but I'll just pass that around if that's okay.
Well, staff will come around and grab it. Just continue on with your presentation. But thank you for having that prepared.
Thank you. So I'd like to point out, we, on this handout, you'll see that 20 years ago in the year 2000 to 2021, we had 796,000 skiers visit Little Cottonwood Canyon. Last year, not this past season, which was even more than the season I'm reporting on, we had 1.3 million skiers visit Little Cottonwood Canyon. So an increase of almost 63% has occurred in that 20-year period of time. Utah's growing, Salt Lake County's grown about 32% in that same period of time. And our bus service back in 2021, we had 73 buses that came up to Canyon daily, but we had 23 last year. So our bus service isn't where it was before. It's diminished for a variety of reasons. We've been working closely with UTA and UDOT and the Forest Service and everyone to try to help people get to some of the greatest snow on earth. Alta and Snowbird are regularly recognized as one of the top 5 ski areas in the U.S. Over about 55% of the people that come to Little Cottonwood Canyon are from out of state. The other 45% are locals that travel up and down and come up to the canyon. The challenges is we've had all this growth and we're trying to accommodate and provide these great recreational experiences. The road is basically, the transportation system is about the same as it was 20 years ago. UDOT's done a great job keeping the road intact. We work closely with their forecasters to try to keep it open and dealing with avalanche risk and so forth. But there's more demand now coming to Little Cottonwood Canyon than really we have the infrastructure, transportation infrastructure to accommodate. About 4 years ago, we ran into the situation at Alta that we had more people coming than we could park. We would fill our parking lots at 9 in the morning and turn around people for 2 to 3 hours, hundreds of people. And I was out there on the road turning people around one day, and a mother drove up with 4 kids in her car, and it was 11 o'clock, and I said, "I'm sorry, I have no parking." And she says, "You gotta be kidding. I already tried Big Cottonwood, and they turned me around. And now you're gonna turn me around too?" That day I said, okay, we've gotta fix this. We need to change this. We, as a ski area, we took the step of implementing parking reservations. So we implemented parking reservations to limit the number of vehicles that would come up the canyon and not end up parking people in every possible place and illegally and all those type of things. It's changed our ski experience significantly to the positive. Our skiers love it, but the challenges was we still have issues with the road. We still have congestion in the canyon. And the number one cause of that congestion happens to be Mother Nature. It's weather. That road, when it's dry, it can move 1,200 vehicles an hour up and down the canyon. And the wait times getting to Alta and away from Alta and Snowbird are reasonable. But as soon as we start to get weather and the road gets slick, it goes downhill. If you go from 40 miles an hour to 10 miles an hour, you can only move 25% the same flow of traffic. One of the challenges we have is the current traction law in the canyon is not implemented until the road is slick. So if we have a snow forecast, there's no traction law put in place. So all of these 2-wheel drive vehicles make it up the canyon, snows, and now we can't get them out of the canyon. They go really slow, and it takes us 3 to 4 hours sometimes to empty that canyon. We're working with UDOT to hopefully be able to improve the way that law is implemented and improve enforcement so that we can the goal is to keep vehicles out of the canyon with inappropriate traction devices during storm periods. That would make a big difference in the ski experience for people, because people are coming to have a great experience. They're just being impacted by the getting up and down. The other thing is that UDOT closes the road early in the morning to do avalanche mitigation work and clear the road. They do a great job. But when that occurs, the arteries coming to the canyon back up with traffic and back up into all those communities. So we're looking to work with UDOT and others to how do we How do we make that process more efficient and faster and it happens sooner, get that open? Between Alta and Snowbird, we have the main highway goes under what's called Mount Superior. When that canyon closes that road closes for avalanche mitigation work, all of the traffic leaving the town of Alta has to go through Snowbird. We become entry 5. We go from, being able to move about 9 vehicles between every 2 vehicles leaving Alta, 9 Snowbird's vehicles merge in between to over 500. And so it creates a gridlock in the town of Alta when that main line closes. We're at gridlock for 1 to 2 hours. No public transportation moves, no emergency services can move, nothing can move. We need to be able to deal with that main line, figure out how to keep that open. It's not in the U.EIS as a snow shed location. We'd like to see it considered, but that's an issue. You add to that there's just so many merge points on the Canyon Road between Alta and Snowbird. When they go that way, it creates congestion. We add to that all the roadside parking and all those vehicles doing U-turns. Every time you do a U-turn, you stop the traffic coming downhill. And they're illegal U-turns by state law, but they're allowed to happen. On top of that, buses and delivery trucks and stuff that come up the canyon, we don't have a 2-lane road all the way up that canyon. It's a single lane in some places. They slow down the traffic. The buses can't travel the speed limit when they're full. And so as they slow it down, it slows the flow. So the capacity of the canyon is kind of the same as it was 20 years ago. We're supportive of any transportation improvements. We work closely with UDOT. We're supportive of solutions even as the gondola down the road. Our concern is as we've heard today, those things are a ways out. And we have significant congestion issues today that we believe some money could be allocated to and we could address. We'd like to see, as I've mentioned in here, can we modify that traction law to be based on forecasts? Can we require all the vehicles in the canyon on those days to have a UDOT approved sticker that says they're allocated to get there? Can we allocate some money and do that and enforce that so we can keep, on snow days, keep the traffic flow moving better? We'd like to see roadside parking issues dealt with. We've got to eliminate the illegal U-turns. We'd like, options are, can we get some way, get that roadside parking replaced in other places if possible? And then keeping that main line open so all of its Alta traffic from the town of Alta doesn't have to go through Snowbird are our priorities. We understand some funds have been allocated to do some of these things, and whether they can move forward under the EIS or not, I do not know. But I think these things are things that haven't really been addressed in the EIS, and we're just seeking, we'd like to work with the legislature, UDOT, UTA, whoever, to try to address these issues so that in the short term, while these longer term solutions are being worked out, we can address some of this congestion issues, because it's not rocket science. We don't have to spend a ton of money for some of these things that we could do in a short time. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much. I've got 2 quick questions, Senator Baldery, then Senator Kwan.
This question might be better addressed to UTA, but I'm assuming you might know the answer. Why have the bus trips per day gone from 73 to 23 if the influx of skiers is so much greater?
My understanding, as we've dealt with UTA, dealt with employee staffing. Over the past few years, there was a staffing shortage, and they were required to cut service, and so they cut service across their system 30%. But the Little Cottonwood Canyon bus service got cut significantly more than that, and they have not been able to recoup that. So we haven't gotten back to where we were before.
Mr. Fox?
Is that correct? Somewhat. Not correct.
All right. I'll respectfully provide a different number. So last year we were actually averaging around 36 buses in the canyon, so 30 schedule with about 6 surge a day. And as I talked about, one of our routes has been suspended, which was the 953, so that service will be coming back in as the supplemental service we talked about. So in addition, we are running in a little less frequency. We added the surge, but by adding all the van pools that are now going in there, that is pulling the employees off and actually is increasing the total number of people that we're moving. So we're doing it a lot more efficiently. The other thing, Senator, is that we still are figuring out how to run that seasonal service while running the rest of our baseline service. So the labor challenges, which we were just referred to, are a big focus for us, and the last thing we want to do is put our employees in a situation where we're forcing overtime on them, we're providing them with unpredictable schedules, and then we're losing them for the rest of the service that is so important to our valley. So I hope that answers your question.
Okay, thank you.
A quick follow-up, where did all the drivers go? Because we had them at one time. Just to other parts of the state, or where did we lose the labor force to?
Well, I would say the pandemic had a lot to do with a lot of our experienced drivers either deciding to retire or moving on. Additionally, when we got to an unemployment rate of 2%, and we had operators who for years were carrying a lot of overtime on their backs or unpredictable schedules on their backs, they had other choices of where to go. So we've been very focused on a holistic approach. We're completely staffed up, which is why we're able to provide the service now in Southwest Salt Lake County that we're planning for April 2025, as well as Utah County and Davis County. So we have the operators coming back. Our choice now is, do we put all this overtime back on them again to provide the service, or do we provide really good baseline service and find other long-term solutions to our seasonal service for the canyons? And part of our work with the resorts, with our stakeholders, is ensuring that we can do that, as well as at the same time providing all the other service that we provide.
Okay, thank you. Senator Kwan.
Can I just supplement that question, answer a little bit? So my numbers go back to 20 years ago. I mean, UTA has worked very creatively and hard and with the skiers in the past 5 years to kind of recoup from where we were 5 years ago. But the reality of it is where we are today compared to 20 years ago is significantly different.
Thank you, Senator Kwan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And my question goes around along the same lines as well. First of all, I'd like to say how pleased I am. Thank you for your presentation and also for working, to be a partner in the solution to this. I know it's been a great impact to your resorts as well as the industry when people can't get up there. So I was wondering, just not knowing if there are. Do you own your own shuttles? Do you take people up and down? Are there barriers to that?
We do not do that, run people up and down. The reality of it is even at the current levels we're running, less than 5% of the people that ski are using the bus. It's the number of people that come and ski at the resorts. Public transport works for a certain segment, but when you look at a lot of people, the vehicle is the better solution when they're bringing multiple skis, their layers of clothing, a family, helmets, gloves, all those things. Bus transportation works great for employees. It works great for season pass holders that maybe have lockers at the resorts. It's a little challenging beyond that, and it's a little challenging for the destination visitors to come to. So buses, there's a purpose and a segment for buses that works well, but we do run shuttles. We don't have like with Canyon Transportation, we actually have purchased our own little vans internally, but we don't have a regular public service that we're running up and down the canyon.
And would an expanded bus service then increase the numbers of people that can reach your resort and ski? Now I'm confused. So.
Yeah, yes, it would increase. I don't think you're going to replace significant vehicle traffic with bus service. Okay. There can be some improvement upon where we're at, but I don't think you're going to reduce it significantly.
So it's a piece of the solution.
Correct.
Is what I'm hearing
Correct.
you say, but it's not these. Okay.
Correct.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Ward.
Thank you. So I just wanted to check about a statistic that I think I heard you say, that bus service currently is about 5%?
Of skier visits, yeah. Of
skier
the people
visits.
of skiers that come that use the bus, it's less than 5% of our visitation.
Of your visitation. So to me, this statistic on that sheet that was passed around was pretty shocking, that the bus trips per day is like down by 60, down 2/3, right? So I guess if we did go back in time those 20 years and had 3 times as many buses, then the buses would be able to supply 15% of the volume instead of 5% of the volume.
It's never been over 8%. Is what the highest we ever got in, as far as bus service of skier visits. That's where we've got to the highest back 20 years ago.
Okay, but, all right. And your perception, which I guess makes sense, is that all of the difficulties of getting your equipment to the bottom of the canyon in the first place, having a place to take and use it back and forth is easier if you have a vehicle. But in some fundamental way, is any of that different if we build a gondola versus have a bus? I mean, those same arguments are. I mean, would the gondola be more than 8%? Is there a reason to think it would be more than 8%?
I think the gondola could, I mean, gondola is kind of used like for skiing anyway, because the people are accustomed to that. If there was you would have to have at your gondola station an opportunity for people to maybe have lockers to change and get into their stuff to go.
Which you could have for a bus.
Which you potentially could have. It's just harder handling ski gear and stuff on the buses and moving with skis in and out and so forth. Right now, one of the challenges too with the buses is the buses have a limited amount of seating. The capacity we're running buses at right now is they're completely packed with people standing for 30 minutes plus riding up and down the canyon. It's not a pleasant experience if you're standing in a bus going up and down that canyon.
Okay.
And Representative Ward, there's a few wild cards into this. If we start doing tolling, that will go through and change behavior. If we have more frequency, things like that. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks.
And I don't know with the 5 or the 8% or what the bus numbers and that, all those percentages are, you know.
I guess I was just trying to get the overall big picture of, is it really true that forever and ever that the main way to get up and down will be private vehicles with whatever else we do being a small percentage, or is that dynamic really able to be a lot different with any of these plans? That was all, yeah.
I think Mr. Braceras would like to weigh in on this. Mr. Maughan, I think we're done with you.
Okay.
If you yield your chair.
Thank you.
Maybe don't go too far.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Carlos Braceras, Utah Department of Transportation. I appreciate, we showed it on the slide. We didn't highlight it that well, I guess, is where our goal as part of the EIS is to move 30% to transit. And we're gonna need to do that through tolling, very aggressive tolling. And so you may have seen on the slide, we have a tolling rate of $25. We anticipate a very dynamic tolling regime based on the type of day we're dealing with. But that tolling is going to be needed to move 30% for these solutions to work. And so, yes, that's a big part of the challenge, is changing the way people choose to drive up the canyon, or go up the canyon, excuse me.
Thank you. Appreciate you clarifying that. All right. Representative Peterson.
I did have a question for Mr. Maughan. I'm sorry. I didn't signal the chair quick enough. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for sharing your perspective with us. I guess this is kind of the question I have for you, which is, what portion of this is the state's responsibility and what portion of this is the ski district's responsibility? Because it is a state road, and we need to move people on it, but it also feels like we can't be the whole part of the solution here. That there also might need to be some privatized service that you're coming up with, or something like that. But how can you also be part of the solution, and what do you see your responsibility is here?
So right now, part of the solution is we pay 100% of the fee for any season pass holder to use the bus to go up and down the canyon. We pay 100% for our employees to ride the bus going up and down the canyon. So we have been participating for years in trying to help people move up and down the canyon that's there. The cost of doing a road enhancement, significant road enhancements, or snow sheds, or gondola are so high, we could, the amount of revenue that the ski areas create as a business it's just out of reach for us to participate beyond maybe participating how we do.
So you feel like by saying to your ski pass holders and your employees, if you use the bus, we'll pay for it.
We do.
But only 5% are using the bus. So that doesn't seem like a solution that's working for your customers. And so you're kind of, that's where you're at, that's all you're willing to do.
The challenge is, it goes back to our, And we're at odds a little bit on the view of tolling, if it would work or not. I don't support tolling, because tolling may or may not change behavior on a powder day at all. I mean, people are willing to pay $25 to come park at Alta, and I sell out on reservations Friday, Saturday, Sunday, every weekend. I could sell more if I had more. So people are willing to pay. Tolling doesn't restrict the number of vehicles coming up the canyon. It tries to increase the capacity. We pointed out that reservations, just going to reservations, limiting, you have to have a reservation to use a spot that does exist in the canyon, increased our carpooling by 22%. People organically carpooled and moved more people. We're busier than we were. For us, if we can manage and do some of these changes we've talked about, fixing the traction law, enhancing the bus service and doing those things, it may get us most of the way to where we need to be. The gondola is a great solution because it takes the road out of the equation. When it's slick and when it's a problem, it takes it out. But you'll still have traffic that's got to deal with that road, so we still need to deal with those issues that are there.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, Craig, let's turn it over to you.